Hello, it's Doris with All eBooks, and I'm here for your Classic Friday reads. I have to tell you, this has been an amazing reading week. So productive on the reading front. Happy day, happy week, happy month. It's been a great reading month. Anyway, diving right in. So I've been doing a try a chapter unhaul project for the last week and a half, I guess, that I'll wrap up tomorrow. I think it started last Friday with my Friday reads, was the first installment, and then I did a little vlog. So I'm at the end of that project. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's been great. It's been great. I finished Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice. Oh my goodness. I loved it so much. So I read that when I first got on BookTube and started hearing about it. It's a book that comes up quite often in these parts. I don't know why. It just didn't connect with me the first time around. My headspace, I've been preoccupied with other books. I don't know. I'm glad that I have taken the time to reread it. I do know I don't always gel with political fantasy, so I might not have been in the mood for that at the time, but this second time around, I mean to tell you, I loved it. And I think the main reason why is I really connected with the main character, Fitz. He's kind of the chosen one in this story, but Robin Hobb is very nuanced with that, and it's just fabulous. I am just so excited to see where life takes Fitz and what he becomes. It's going to be so good, so good. Anyway, I have 3 more physical books here to chat to you about. The first one, Kyo McClare's Birds Art Life. I heard about this from Sean the Book Maniac, and he actually, I believe, DNF'd it. It's not really a Sean book. I can totally tell that from reading it. But the things he said about it intrigued me enough that I ended up picking it up, and I'm so glad I did. Oh my goodness, I love this book so much. I loved every page. When I finished, I could have started it again. I fully intend to read it again one of these days. So this is a memoir. The woman is a writer, kind of an amateur artist. She's happily married, has a couple kids. Life is, more or less going well, but her dad is having some serious health issues, pretty serious health issues, and he's aging. And that has her a bit unmoored in life, and she realizes she needs a little bit of a change, and what she ends up connecting with is birding, but not, hardcore birding, more of the urban landscape birding, like casual afternoons and weekends kind of around the city. So she pairs up with a birder that she meets who himself is a musician. So you've got this artist vibe going. Her husband is also a musician, kind of a composer, more on that angle. So this book is just her year of kind of apprenticing under this urban birder, and, very introspective, the connections that she makes with nature and her life and her art. I mean, Birds Art Life. It's right there, isn't it? It's a short little book. It's got some nice pictures and art in it, but it's written, oh, so cute. It's written, you can see, in a very concise manner, but also very poetic and just so thoughtful and thought-provoking. I absolutely loved this. So good. And then I happened to notice Heidi reading this book. She shared this on like a Friday Reads or something very recently, and I was so like turned on by the thought of reading this that I started it almost immediately. I found it on audiobook, and it's read by the author, Ty Sedgley. So Robert E. Lee and Me, A Southerner's Reckoning with the Myth of the Lost Cause. This book, there were at least half a dozen times that my mind was just completely blown. So if you are a Southerner, Southern U.S., I would highly recommend reading this and just kind of taking the time to think about how you were raised and, you know, the things that we were taught in our culture. If you're, you know, not from the South and you want to understand, like, even, you know, not from the U.S. and you want to understand why the heck Southerners think the way they do, this is a great book. Ty Sedgley he was born and raised in the South, Virginia specifically, where Robert E. Lee is from. And he went to Washington and Lee University. So the university is named for George Washington and Robert E. Lee, and is kind of the heart of the Lost Cause movement, very immersive in the Robert E. Lee adoration, let's say. And then he joined the Army. Like he ended up getting a ROTC scholarship, which is the military scholarship, and then joined the Army to serve his time for his schooling, and ended up becoming career military, like 36 years in the military. He married, his wife was, you know, from the North, and she kind of like was like some of the things that he believed and talked about, she was like, honey, really? But just through the course of his life, he kind of started looking at his upbringing with a new lens. It took a long time, but he finally started rethinking some things that he believed and had been taught, and it just changed his thinking. Like he just became this researcher on Robert E. Lee and this Lost Cause, which is basically the glorification of the Confederacy, which lost the war. Like, some of the things that blew my mind, I grew up, it was the Confederates and the Union. The Confederate Army and the Union Army, the Southern and the Northern Army. And they were two equal but opposite forces. But no, it was the Confederate Army, a rebel army, against the United States military, the United States. It was the rebels against the United States Army. It wasn't some mythical Union Army. It was the United States. Like, that's just profound. It's just profound to me, that change in thinking. Never once was I asked to think, well, what would have happened really and truly if the South had won and the United States was split into two countries, if not more? The strife, like, I don't know. It's just mind-blowing to think about some of the things he brings up in here. And so he's starting to try to teach others, and, well, it's not even teach, but speak to them and, like, have this discourse. And it's not sinking in to the Southerners at all that he's speaking to. It's not sinking in. And he finally comes home and tells his wife, like, why doesn't anyone listen? And she says, honey, you need to tell your story. Don't just tell them what's wrong with their thinking. Tell them your story and how you changed, what you went through, where you were, where you've been, and how your thinking has changed. So that's what this book is. It's his research, but also somewhat of a memoir of his younger years. And yeah, the Lost Cause myth. I could just keep going, but you know, moving on. This is a great book. As I said, listened to it on audio and immediately ordered it because I just needed it in my library for reference. And then I finally read Men We Reaped by Jesmyn Ward, who is a fabulous author. And I'm so glad that I finally took the time to read this. I didn't really want to because I knew it was going to be a painful read, just in general and personally, but really good, really good. So this is her memoir of her growing up and 5 young men in her life that died way too young, and how that affected her and her family. It's really brilliantly told because she alternates chapters, and so half of the book is her chapter by chapter telling of her life and her family, you know, from her birth up to her brother who died at age 19. And then the alternating chapters, she goes in reverse order, and she tells about the 5 young men who died, starting with the last one, the 5th one, and in decreasing order. So it's really a unique structure, but it really works for what she has to say. And I thought I would just read a paragraph that was really impactful to me in this. So Jesmyn Ward, her mother's last job that she did for quite a number of years was a housekeeper for some wealthy families in Mississippi. And one of them sponsored Jesmyn Ward at a private college prep school. So she had a really solid education in this, basically, for the most part, all white school. So she talks about that, and, you know, was able then to go on to university from there. But this is, she's at one of these homes that her mother works for, and her mother is still working, and Jesmyn's talking to the homeowner as she waits for her mother to finish her work for the day. So years later, in college, I would encounter W.E.B. Du Bois and the term double consciousness. When I read it, I thought about sitting in my mother's employer's family room, watching my mother clean while I waited for her to finish so we could go home. I thought of how it felt to witness my mother at work, of how I saw her in a broader context as a Black cleaning woman, almost cowed, and of how I was very conscious in that moment of my dark skin, my overbite, my irascible hair, the way my hands itched to help my mother, how my legs tingled as I sat and looked at my mother as she worked, and how I was aware that the wife was talking to me like an intellectual equal, engaging me, asking me about my college plans. How the privilege of my education, my eventual ascent into another class, was born in the inexorable push of my mother's hands. How unfair it all seemed. Oh, this was really, really an excellent read. And then, so that's, you know, some of what I've finished this week. And then currently reading The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope. So this I made some significant progress on it this month. I'm past the halfway point, but it's been pushed to the side with the little try a chapter tag project. So I will finish it next month, but I'm really, really engaged with it. And then I'm buddy reading The Diversity of Life by Edward O. Wilson with Heidi from My Reading Life. And I think I have a little over 100 pages left in this one. This is kind of a biology textbook primer, but, you know, written in a very engaging way. It is a little dated. I think it was written in '92 originally, so some of the things are dated, but hopefully I'll wrap that up for you next week. And then I'm going to start another vlog right now, like as soon as I get off here. The Genius of Birds by Jennifer Ackerman. This is the book naturalist pick for April. We're still in April for a couple more days, a day and a half. So yeah, I'm gonna do a quick vlog on this, and it's like 250 pages, so fingers crossed I can start it this evening and finish it tomorrow, along with my last Unhaul Project book. So yeah, busy, like I'm in the groove. I'm very excited. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon with lots of videos. Trust me on this. Bye.